folks, we got a caller on the line. We'll move over to that now. Lawrence, you are on the air on The Reckoning. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Ryan. I wanted to talk about President Trump. I'm a 3-time Trump voter, and I pretty much consider myself as MAGA as they come. Until recently, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. So, when I was a child, it was a long time ago, but I still have scars from it emotionally. And when Trump pressured Romania to release Andrew Tate, I definitely had problems with that since he's a sex trafficker. But, I kind of looked the other way. But now what he's doing with Ghislaine Maxwell and, making arrangements for her to have a nice, cushy jail experience and all sorts of perks and stuff that no one else would ever get. Like, why does Trump love sex traffickers so much?
Well, I don't know about the Andrew Tate situation. I'm not going to speak to that, though I do agree with your characterization of him completely. But with the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, I have to imagine that there's some kind of situation that is, I don't know, but I know her sitting down with the DOJ, even though we haven't seen the full transcripts of it, or at least I haven't seen the full transcripts of everything. I have to wonder if she's not dishing out information on people. So they're not letting her out of jail, but they are giving her some kind of deal. On that side, if that's the motivation, and if what they're doing is in the use of making sure they scoop more people up and a big investigation is going to start to really hit the entire Epstein network, I understand. I may not like it, but I specifically seeing her get any better treatment, but I can understand the grand scheme of how to wrap more people up. So that all, I'm speaking obviously very hypothetically because I don't know the exact contents, and of course they're going to have to take some actionable steps forward.
It's not normal for someone as high up as Todd Blanche to go and do the interview of a prisoner like that, let alone the fact he did it entirely on his own. None of the prosecutors that helped prosecute the case against Ghislaine Maxwell were even there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it was all for show.
Well,
why does Trump keep giving her why does he love sex traffickers so much?
Well, I don't know, but right there, you've got a little bit of an extra characterization that I'm going to take some issue with because it's loading a lot of intent onto this. But I will tell you, with the amount of corruption we have seen down the line in the Department of Justice and the FBI, inside the thousands and thousands of employees across all of the field offices, the U.S. attorney's offices, I am not necessarily surprised to see them take something as high profile as that and leave it at the highest level of where the president's actually selected these folks, instead of down the line, since they've received so much kickback. So I'm kind of assuming, but it's possible.
So people that were involved in the prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell that know the case inside and out, you would not have brought them. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I know we've talked before, I'm pretty sure. But again, I'm going to tell you this. I am positive at this point that I don't have a whole lot of trust for some of the prosecutors who've run this case before. You go all the way back to the 7 or 8 case against Jeffrey Epstein.
Why does Trump keep fighting the release of these files? It's not like he's a pedophile. Could he be?
Oh, well, apparently you haven't kept up on your Truth Social posts, but we're about to get to that because he's not fighting any longer. But did you see it? Did you see what we're about to do, or are you going to tune in here for the next segment and take a listen?
Just because he bought a beauty pageant and bragged about going...
Okay, never mind. I appreciate your call, but I'm not going to entertain you for an entire segment like I did last time because today you're not even going to answer my question. So to Lawrence or Kevin or Taylor or whatever all the different names you've used over the month to call into us, thanks for calling. Listen up next time, though, because you're going to actually get an earful here. Donald Trump today has revealed exactly what's been going on, in my opinion, with the Epstein files. Because for several months now, and this is, by the way, a fantastic segue into this to have a total TDSer get in on the conversation, because, yes, you do have Trump derangement syndrome, my friend. Seek help. But here's the deal, folks. For months now, I and you and a lot of other people have been completely baffled by what in the world is going on inside the Trump administration with the Epstein files. Because for years, Donald Trump has talked about this. And in fact, the more actual evidence that has come out from the past when it comes to folks who were going after Epstein or victims of his or people who spoke out, Trump tends to have a pretty long history of looking to somehow crack down on Epstein. And this long before he ran for politics. And this year has not comported with that, field of facts that we have. Because it doesn't necessarily surprise me to see Pam Bondi, who I view much more as an establishment figure that I don't trust. It doesn't surprise me to see her botch this. It doesn't surprise me to see the FBI botch this. It doesn't surprise me to see any of that. What did surprise me, though, is when Trump starts running interference for them and went down his whole line of, are you still talking about Epstein? What are we doing? No one cares about Jeffrey Epstein more. That's way off the course. And that leaves me only three options to wonder. Number one, he's got friends who he doesn't want to embarrass, so he really doesn't want the files out. Number two, the intelligence community's got to him and turned the screws on him, and they convinced him not to release the files, so he's got to do something to push him to the side. Or number three, this is some sort of play, some sort of chess move to make something happen because he still cares about the files, wants to release them, but he understands there's got to be some sort of different public opinion. Well, guess what? I've wondered now for the whole, summer that we've been doing this dance, if option number three, some sort of chess move, was what was happening. Because sure enough, for years, put this into perspective, for years, the Epstein files has been relegated to being some sort of right-wing conspiracy. Only the right-wing conspiracy theorists talk about that. They've been normalized. That narrative has been normalized by mainstream corporate propaganda hacks, the same people that our friend here who just called in listens to too often. That has been normalized. It's just a right-wing conspiracy theory. What happened this summer? All the white liberal boomers out at the No Kings protests were carrying signs, release the Epstein files. What's pedophile Trump doing? He must be a pedophile. He needs to release the Epstein files. Again, case in point, we just heard from one. What happened? That entire narrative about the Epstein files are only a right-wing conspiracy, that broke wide open. And it suddenly became a mantra of the leftist protesters, a mantra of the Democrat Party. Release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. Well, what happened? This Wednesday, they finally get their chance, and the group of folks signing this discharge petition to release them in full, which, again, Mike Johnson intends on bringing to the House next week. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with that vote. It comes up, and suddenly Democrat support for releasing the files disappears. And then we have the big file kerfuffle from the House Oversight Committee where they release this thing where they think it's somehow damning against Trump. Turns out you actually unredact the name of the victim, and, well, that flips that whole story on its head.